This week's episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/cheechandkern. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. That's www.audibletrial.com/cheechandkern.
Welcome everybody to the Cheech and Kern.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Cheech, alongside my main man, Kern. What up, Kern?
What up, Cheech? What's happening?
Nothing much, man. We're here, back, bigger, better than ever on the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. And today we got a very special episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast because we're going to be talking about WWF Royal Rumble 1992. Now, why did we pick WWF Royal Rumble 1992, Kern?
Yeah, we picked Royal Rumble 1992 because it's a Roddy Piper tribute. Since Roddy Piper passed away not too long ago, we wanted to make a little tribute show. And Royal Rumble 92 was when Roddy Piper won the WWF Intercontinental title, which is his first and I think only singles title in the WWF today.
That's right, his first and only singles title in the WWF, as you mentioned. And so we chose this show not only just because of the Intercontinental title, but because he had a big role in the Royal Rumble match itself, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But let's get a little bit into the facts here. Royal Rumble 1992. It took place on January 19th, 1992, and it took place in Knickerbocker Arena, Albany, New York, with an attendance of 17,000 fans, and in my opinion, one of the best commentating groups of all time, with Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, I agree. Those are one of the best commentators out there. You can just sit there and they will make you laugh throughout the entire show. Entire show.
That's right.
All right, well, let's start off the show. The first match is a tag team match. And the components are of the Orient Express with Kato and Tanaka with Mr. Fuji. And they're going up against the New Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart and the Rocket Owen Hart. And I miss Owen Hart. Owen Hart was he was a good competitor out there.
Yeah, and I just recently was reading online that WWF has a documentary planned for him, and a 3-disc set, which comes out. It's set to come out either November or December of this year. So it comes out with a documentary. So I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that kills me. So I got to pay more money to go buy a 3-disc DVD instead of paying for the network. Like, man.
They might bring the documentary version to the network like they've been doing recently. Like, for example, the Paul Heyman one, it came out on DVD, and then they put it on the network a couple months later. So, they might be able to do that, but I guess it all depends.
Well, they better let me know before I spend the money on the damn thing.
Yeah. Now, before we get into this match, Karen, talk about the New Foundation. Why was it the New Foundation? I know it was Bret Hart, of course, with Jim the Anvil Neidhart were the original Hart Foundation, but why were they called the New Foundation and not like the New Hart Foundation or something like that?
They were the New Foundation for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it was the new foundation. I mean, it was different partners. It was his brother instead of Hitman Hart. And they were like the New Foundation because they were like the new generation of wrestling or something. They were wearing those funky outfits like they were like the New Boys or something, like some dance group. They were wearing some funky like new generation outfits, and that's why they call themselves, I'm assuming, the New Foundation. That's just me assuming.
Okay, all right.
The match starts off with Owen Hart and Kato. Owen Hart gets the early advantage on Kato by applying an armbar. Owen then proceeds to do a couple of flashy moves inside the ring and tags in the Anvil. The Anvil comes in over and powers Kato as the crowd starts cheering him on. Kato then tags in Tanaka. He is also powered by the Anvil. The Anvil then tags in Owen, and he works over Tanaka for a bit. So far, the New Foundation is complete control of the match. The pace of the match then slows down a bit when Kato gets to the face of Owen. The heels are then able to take control of the match when Mr. Fuji nails Owen Hart in the cane in the throat. Jesus. Mr. Fuji was hardcore, man. Remember we were talking about how we miss like these heel managers that get in and actually interfere in the match to piss off the people? And we missed that stuff. Yep. Mr. Fuji was one of the hardcores.
He was a badass.
Him and that cane, he was deadly.
Yep.
Anyway, Tanaka and Kato then work over Owen Hart with a quick in and out tags. At one point, Owen Hart takes a hit onto the turnbuckle that looked horrific. The crowd starts cheering on Owens and makes a comeback as the Orient Express is still in control. Owen is then able to make a tag to the Anvil, but the referee does not see the tag. As the ref is distracted and the Anvil, Mr. Fuji is able to place this cane in the corner buckle as Tanaka whips Owen into it. Tanaka then goes for the pin, but Owen is able to place his leg over the bottom rope. Now, see, this is like Mr. Fuji's just kicking ass through the whole match. That's one thing that, man, we miss that so much. And you don't have that anymore. Mm-hmm. Even when Paul Heyman was the heel manager with with CM Punk or with Brock Lesnar, he didn't go in there and interfere like he used to do in ECW.
Yeah, that's true.
He should start fucking protesting to the WWE that we need more heel managers out there. Anyway, the Orient Express keeps control of the match with in and out tags still working on Owen. At one point, Owen is able to land a double dropkick and give a hot tag to the Anvil. The crowd goes nuts as Anvil lays out both members of the Orient Express as he nails a slingshot over the top rope. Anvil then whips Owens through the rope on Kato. They then set up Tanaka for the rocket launcher. Splash off the top rope for the pin at 17 minutes and 18 seconds. Cheech, what do you think about this match?
This was a pretty good opening match for the Royal Rumble. I mean, I thought this was first of all, I had no recollection of this new Foundation tag team. I didn't remember them at all when I started watching this event. When I went back and started watching it, I was like, holy shit, I didn't even remember the new Foundation and that weird ass, huh?
How old were you in January of '92?
I was just about to be 9 years old or something like that. Yeah, just around 9. But I didn't have, I do remember Owen Hart in the later years coming out with that weird ass, like square colored clothes he was wearing there in the new Foundation. But I didn't remember he was actually a partners with Jim the Anvil Neidhart as the new Foundation. But
it was short-lived. It was short-lived. It didn't last too long. I mean, they weren't there as long as like the Hart Foundation or the British Bulldogs or the Killer Bees. I mean, they were there for, as I can remember, I'm not 100% positive, but I think they were only there for like a year, if that. Okay. If they even were there for the whole year.
Yeah, because I didn't remember, had no recollection of this tag team. But I mean, it was a good match. A good opening match. They played the heel characters. They got the heat on Owen Hart, and then of course the Anvil, he got the hot tag, started whooping everybody's ass. Your typical tag team match. But I mean, it was good. It got the crowd very excited. So good opening match.
I think I liked Owen Hart as a singles competitor. I like that feud they had with the Hitman Hart there for a little bit. I think the feud lasted a little bit too fucking long, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they had some good matches there, and for that feud, I think Owen Hart should have won the title off of Bret Hart somewhere in there. I mean, lose it back to Bret Hart, but should have had grabbed the title, so like a Ron Garvin type thing,
Yeah.
Title for like a month or so.
I totally agree because I think it did go on too long because they started feuding for it was well over a year, I would say. They were feuding, but I mean, one of my favorite cage matches of all time still is that SummerSlam. I believe it was in '94, I want to say, where Owen Hart and Bret Hart had that WWF match, WWF title match in a cage. I want to say it was SummerSlam '94, maybe SummerSlam '90. No, SummerSlam '93 was Luke Sluger. Yeah, so it was that SummerSlam '94. They had that cage match, and it was one of my all-time favorite cage matches of all time in WWF. Is Owen Hart.
I remember them wrestling. I think it was in a WrestleMania, and it was for the world title.
No, they wrestled at WrestleMania 10. It was the opening match for WrestleMania 10, and that's the night that Bret Hart beat Yokozuna. And that was in WrestleMania 10 in '94. But then after he won the title, that's when Owen Hart started getting kind of like jealous and everything, and that's when the feud kind of picked up again. Yeah, and they fought at that SummerSlam for the title in a cage match. Badass fucking match.
Right. You're right. Anyway, we got a backstage interview where His Lordship Alfred Hayes gives a recap of the event leading up to the Intercontinental title match between the Mountie and Roddy Piper. The Mountie had just won the Intercontinental titles 48 hours before the event by defeating Bret the Hitman Hart. After the match, the Mountie kept on attacking Hitman until Hot Rod made the save. Hitman was unable to get a rematch at the Rumble due to the high fever, so President Jack Tunney appointed the match to Hot Rod. The Mountie and Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart are then interviewed by Sean Mooney. Then Piper is interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund. Now here's another good heel from back in the day that used to do some shit with that megaphone and crack you upside the head,
Yep.
the Jimmy Harts, the Jim Cornettes, the Mr. Fuji's. Man, we miss those people. And this match coming up, before we get into this match, what do you think of Roddy Piper and the Mountie in this match? Instead of giving it to Hitman Hart for the rematch. What do you think?
Well, I kind of, I guess they wanted to go with, I mean, the direction they were obviously aiming for was WrestleMania 8, having Piper defend the Intercontinental title. But I kind of like the way they explained it, because if you're coming into the Royal Rumble not knowing the background of why Piper was in this match in the first place, you kind of wouldn't make sense. You're like, wait a minute, but the title was Bret Hart's. Why the hell is the Piper, he's fighting now with the Mountie? Why is the Mountie the champ? Because, basically 2 days before, as they said, the Mountie beat Hitman Hart. And he just kept beating the shit out of Bret Hart. And out of nowhere comes Roddy Piper to make the save. Now, why? I'm not sure if at that time during TV, because I don't really remember. We're kind of watching this as a single event here. I don't really remember if Bret Hart and Roddy Piper had some type of friendship on camera or something. They were kind of acknowledging here.
Not that I remember.
Because when I started seeing they did kind of like a video playback, it really just seemed like it came out of nowhere. Roddy Piper just came out to help Bret Hart for no reason. He beat the shit out of the Mountie. And then Bret Hart was supposed to get his rematch at the Royal Rumble, but he had a high fever. And I don't know if this was a legit high fever or if it was something they were just building for WrestleMania.
I think it was a bullshit fever. I mean, first of all, Bret Hart lost the title, but we knew he was going for the title. Mm-hmm. Like, every guy that won the Intercontinental Champion, when they lost the belt, like Macho Man or the Ultimate Warrior, Warrior didn't lose the belt. But everybody that lost the belt, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock, everybody who held that Intercontinental title and lost the belt, their next step was to go to the world title. So I know that Bret Hart maybe wouldn't win it again, but just Roddy Piper coming out of left field on you, they had no clue that, he was going to do the same. But like I said, the second match is the Intercontinental title match. Roddy Piper versus the Mountie with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. The crowd goes nuts when Piper's music plays. Once the match starts, Hot Rod is taking it to the Mountie. The Mountie then goes nuts outside to regroup, but Piper follows him and lays him out with a right hand. The Mountie is, before I even continue, I do remember on a WWE Superstars episode where didn't the Mountie come out to attack Roddy Piper, and Roddy Piper had like some shock suit or something? Or was that in this match?
I don't think it wasn't. No, it definitely wasn't in this match. Some shock suit. What do you mean? The hell you mean a shock?
Because the Mountie had the
the cane.
Like
that
shock suit.
Oh no, well, it definitely wasn't in this match.
It was before this match because they were hyping up this match. So then Roddy Piper was having his interview in the ring, and he had like a shirt on, and then the Mountie comes out, and they start talking about this match coming up. I'm going to kick your ass in Royal Rumble 92, and Piper's like, I'm going to take your belt from you. And he says, no, you can't. So he tried to zap him, and then Piper acted like he was hurt. So then the Mountie starts walking around all cocky, and then Piper stands up from behind him, kicks him, and then grabs the thing, and then just starts zapping the shit out of him.
Huh. I don't remember that.
I would have swore I even seen it like not too long ago.
Okay.
I think I seen it in the network somewhere. I'm gonna have to look that up again.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting segment. I have no recollection of that segment at all, but it does sound like something they would do in 1992. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it just sounds so familiar. Anyway, the Mountie then goes outside to regroup, but Piper follows him and lays him out with a right hand. The Mountie is able to gain the advantage when he uses Jimmy Hart as a shield. Back in the ring, Piper is able to outsmart the Mountie by countering and performing a bulldog. Piper goes into an early pin, but the Mountie kicks out at 2. Piper is then tripped on the ropes by Jimmy Hart. And here we go again with that heel manager that I love. The Mountie is able to get the advantage on Piper. The Mountie takes it to Piper for a bit and then nails Piper with a flying elbow across the ring as Piper is whipped onto the ropes. The Mountie then tosses Piper to the outside, but Piper gets back up quickly and performs a sunset flip to the outside, but gets only a 2 count. They scramble for a little bit, and Piper gets the upper hand. Piper is then able to atomic drop the Mountie on the outside, but the Mountie is able to skin the cat a la Shawn Michaels and get back in the ring.
That was actually pretty fucking... I didn't expect that from the Mountie, because that's pretty fucking hard to do.
Hey, the Mountie was, he was a badass guy. Remember, he was tag team partners with his
the
brothers?
Rougeaus, yeah,
the Fabulous Rougeaus. And then he came out with some other goofy, the Quebecers or something.
Yeah,
remember?
yeah, that's right.
Quebec?
Yep.
Anyway, The Mountie to the outside, but the Mountie is able to skin the cat a la Shawn Michaels out, like I said. Piper at this point is distracted by Jimmy Hart and the Mountie. Goes for a double axe handle, but Piper moves out of the way and the Mountie nails Jimmy Hart. Piper is then able to put the sleeper hold on the Mountie to get the win as the referee checks the Mountie's arms 3 times. 5 minutes and 22 seconds, the crowd goes crazy as Piper wins his first and only singles titles in the WWF. Jimmy Hart then tries to attack Hot Rod with a shocker, but Piper is able to take it away from him, and Piper then shocks the Mountie as the people go nuts and celebrate the victory for Piper. What do you think about that match, Cheech?
I think it was an exciting match, but when we went back and we chose this event to as a tribute to Roddy Piper, to the late Roddy Piper, I had no recollection as long as as how long the match went. And then when I only saw it went 5 minutes and 22 seconds, I was like, wow, that was a real short match for Piper winning his first single title. But I mean, it was I guess it was exactly what it needed to be, because the Mountie was never somebody who should have been beating the shit out of Piper. So I guess it was just, it was exactly what it had to be, quick and easy and beat him up.
I agree with you. Plus, also, what I was thinking about also is like Piper's got a big role coming up in the Royal Rumble, so you can't go out there and spend 20, 25 minutes in some grueling fucking match and then expect him to be out in the Rumble for another half hour or so in another grueling match.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it was nice to see Piper with that belt. I mean,
he really looked happy. He genuinely looked happy when he had that belt in his hand. So
surprised. Yeah, grateful. I mean, you could see it all in his eyes. The smile he had as he was showing the belt. He was carrying it upside down, but he was showing the belt to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to miss that smile. Roddy Piper, rest in peace. That was a good one.
Yep.
Anyway, we got a backstage interview next with Mean Gene interviews the Bushwhackers with Bloody Jameson.
Okay, you gotta tell me something, Kern. What the hell's up with this Bloody Jameson character? I mean, this guy was like a nerd. He was weird. He spent most of the match eating his tie. I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't even remember Bloody Jameson at all.
Yeah, he was there for a very short time.
Okay.
Very short time. So not too many people are going to remember who the hell Bloody Jameson was. And what do you think about the Bushwhackers? They were just inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, as a kid, I loved them. I was doing the whole dance, the whole up and down with the arms and everything.
Do you remember watching before that?
No. The only recollection I have from the Bushwhackers are from the WWF, this goofy tag team. I do know when they were going to induct them to the Hall of Fame this year, there was a lot of people talking about it. But why are they going to go in as the Bushwhackers? These guys were killers back. I think it was in the AWA or something like that. They were a real good tag team.
I remember first watching them. My first time watching them, and the only reason I remember is because they had a weird tag team title. I've never heard of this tag team title, and I've never heard of it again. They had the UWF Junior Television Tag Team Championships.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a title like that before?
No.
UWF Junior Television. Now, what the fuck is a Junior Television? Is it like a 13-inch? They were the Junior Television Tag Team Champions, and I'm like, wow, I've never heard of a Junior Television Tag. But they were named the Sheepherders.
Yeah, the Sheepherders.
Yeah, they were, and they had some bitch that used to come out with like some pink dress and some big cane. She was like her 50s years old, and she'd come out, and she was like the sheep herder fucking.
Like Mary, the Mary from Mary Had a Little Lamb type.
Yeah, something like that. But she looked like the Great Moolah Ode.
Okay, wow.
And she would have like this little girl dress of like, I don't know, red polka dots or white or something. She'd come out with her big old cane, and like she was like some sheep, I guess a sheep herder, you might call her. That's the first time I seen her. And then I seen him in the, I want to say the NWA, because when the UWF got purchased by Jim Crockett, and I think they went to the NWA for a little bit. Then they disappeared and ended up in the WWF. But when they were the sheep herders, they were like the heel team, and they would go out there and do some like heel shit. Then they came to the WWF, and they did a whole 360. They were doing the stupid fucking arm dance, and they were licking people. They never licked people before. Why the fuck are they licking people now? And they would lick like people from the audience.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want your nasty, disgusting, hillbilly fucking drool all over me. Like, what the hell's wrong with these people?
But I mean, I think that's their most famous gimmick was the Bushwhackers. You know, I mean, when at least I remember them as Bushwhackers. I didn't remember them as the Sheep Herders. I don't think a lot of people would remember as the Sheep Herders, unless you're like a real hardcore wrestling fan from that era. You know, a little bit older than my age. You probably won't remember them, but
and they never won any gold in the WWF as the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, and
these guys were drenched in gold everywhere they went.
And the thing is, watching this match back, for me, well, you know, I don't want to get into the match. You know, I'll let you describe the match, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it.
All right. Well, now we're going to the third match, and it's a tag team match. It's the Beverly Brothers with the Genius versus the Bushwhackers with Jameson. God, I hated the Beverly Brothers. Those were like, to me, they always looked like weirdos.
they were an interesting tag team, so to speak. But you know,
they were like what, overprivileged kids or some shit? Like,
I mean, they came out with the Genius, so I mean, they were just I don't know, but I mean, they were okay.
I used to thought the Genius was like a gay character back then.
Because the way he expressed himself doing his poems, that's what I always thought.
Just the way he talked and the way he flaunted himself and the way he stood around.
He would enunciate.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, he would enunciate everything.
Yeah, no, because he was the Genius. As always, the Genius reads a poem before the Bushwhackers come to the ring. The music hits and the crowd goes nuts as the starting mimic of the Bushwhacker dance. The Bushwhackers pander to the crowd a lot before the match starts.
This looked like a live event. You know, when you usually go to a WWE live event, you know, the wrestlers kind of pander a lot to the crowd, you know, kind of get the crowd involved and everything. Yeah, they were doing this a lot.
The Bushwhackers were, they were like a real crowd favorite towards kids. And at that time, at that era, they were, you know, looking towards kids because they had a lot of kid gimmicks.
Yeah. 92, there was, I guess that was the previous PG era of what we have now.
Yeah, that PG era was a lot better than the PG era we got now. I'd rather have a bunch of weirdos out there, you know, dressed up with masks and stupid names like Doink the Clown, you know.
Isaac Yankum.
Yeah, I remember that one. Remember the Brooklyn Brawler? Remember him?
Yeah, the Brooklyn Brawler
guy. They had the Repo Man.
I wonder if the Brooklyn Brawler will come out this weekend. You know, with you got NXT Takeover, you got SummerSlam, and you got Raw. All three of them in Brooklyn. You know, the Brooklyn Brawler should make at least an appearance in one of those three.
Yeah, he should. Oh, wait. Anyway, the match starts off with the Beverly Brothers getting the upper hand on the match by using dirty tactics. Luke is able to bite Mike Eno's butt cheeks and then by the Beverly Brothers exit the ring. The Bushwhackers pounded to the crowd as another bite again. Back in the ring, they trade shots back and forth, and the Bushwhackers clear the ring again. They continue to pound to the crowd some more. Butch then outsmarts the Beverly Brothers and then gains the upper hand. The Beverly Brothers perform quickly, in and out tags, isolating Butch. Action then spills to the outside as the referee is tending to the action on one of the ring. The Genius walks up to Jameson from behind and slaps him in the face. Back in the ring, the crowd starts cheering for Luke to get tapped in, but the Beverlys are still in control. Butch is able to counter Mike Enos. Am I saying that right? Enos?
I'm assuming, yeah. I mean, Mike. Yeah, that's the way Gorilla was calling him, Mike Enos.
All right, well, we're gonna keep calling him Mike Enos. Mike Enos with a clothesline and then gets a hot tag on Luke. Luke was able to manhandle both Beverly Brothers. They fight for a bit, but then the Beverly Brothers are able to get the pin after the double axe hammer from the top rope from an illegal man in the ring. 14 minutes and 56 seconds. What do you think about the match, Cheech?
I thought this was a boring match, to be honest with you. You know, I started watching it, as I mentioned before, I kind of liked the gimmick of the Bushwhackers as a kid. But then I started watching, they were pandering too much to the damn crowd. They were just kind of like buying time. I mean, and this match, 14 minutes, 56 seconds, just kind of dragged so long. And I mean, we just came out the first match with the New Foundation and the Orient Express. That was an 18-minute match, and that match flew by. And this match was 15 minutes, and it was just horrible and very boring. I don't know. Worst match in my opinion.
I think the Beverly Brothers were just not the right opponents for the Bushwhackers right there. I mean, they should have had like some really hardcore heels that the Bushwhackers could, you know, sit there and
could work off of, you know,
and stuff, yeah. Well, anyway, after the match, the Bushwhackers nail a battering ram on the Beverly Brothers to get them out of the ring. They then grab the Genius so Jameson can hit him. Jameson milks it for a little bit as he is going to punch him in the face and then ends up kicking him in the shins. The music plays and the crowd is happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There was even the whole Jameson thing. They really didn't give anything for me. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, like I said, Jameson didn't last too long. I don't remember him that much. I mean, he was there for a little bit, and then, Jesus. And yeah, he wasn't well missed anyway. Nobody cared. We got a backstage interview next with Mean Gene Okerlund with the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. They talk about the tag team title match against the Natural Disasters.
One of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Natural Disasters.
You like the Natural Disasters?
Yeah, I used to have action figures. I don't know if you remember. I used to have action figures of Earthquake and Typhoon, the Natural Disasters. Yeah.
Oh. I like the Natural Disasters. They were okay. I mean, there was a lot of tag teams in the WWE back in the day that never had tag team titles. I mean, it's like weird. You had really good tag teams that someday, I'm pretty sure they'll end up in the Hall of Fame, that never won titles. Yeah. Like the Bushwhackers. We're just talking about the Bushwhackers. I don't think the Natural Disasters ever won the tag team titles there.
I'm trying to think.
But I never think they had.
I don't think they did because the time around the time the Natural Disasters were around, which is now, the Legion of Doom were there, and it's like the Legion of Doom were every time I remember the Legion of Doom were the tag team champs. If they were there, they were like the champs, or fighting for the title.
Yeah, pretty much. But they had other good tag teams. I like the Twin Towers with Big Boss Man and what's his name?
Hakeem, the African Dream.
The African Dream.
But I mean, that tag team was real early. I mean, that was in like '89. That African Dream.
Yeah, but why didn't they win titles back then?
Who were the tag team titles back then? The Hart Foundation were the tag team titles at that time.
No, '89 was the Brainbusters, my friend.
Because there were, but '89 was WrestleMania 5. I'm pretty sure, wasn't the Hart Foundation?
The Brainbusters.
Demolition.
Demolition had the belts. They lost it to. No, Demolition lost the belts to the Brainbusters.
To the Brainbusters?
Yeah, I'm positive. And they lost it. They lost it on a Saturday night's main event. I remember watching it. I remember watching that shit live. Yeah.
Okay.
Demolition lost the titles to the Brainbusters, and it was right before SummerSlam because they fought the Hart Foundation in SummerSlam, but they didn't have the titles on the line, even though the Brainbusters were champion because they won the belts like Saturday before or something against Demolition.
Okay. All right.
I remember that. Anyway, we go on to the fourth match, and it's for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Now, I know this is a dumb question. Who are the champions back here?
It was the Legion of Doom.
The Legion of Doom. Oh, my God. I just had a brain fart there. The Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon with Jimmy Hart versus the WWF Tag Team Champions, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. The match starts off with Hawk and Typhoon squaring off. Hawk is trying to shoulder tackle Typhoon, but is not successful. He is then able to stun Typhoon as he goes to the top rope and nails him with a clothesline and drops him. Earthquake is then tagged in. Hawk performs a dropkick, but to no effect on Earthquake. I used to love Hawk's dropkicks. Yeah. He had one of the most devastating and the highest dropkicks I've ever seen from some guy.
And he was like, I mean, how tall was Hawk? Like 6'2", 6'1", maybe? 6'1", 6'2"?
6'1", 6'2", something like that.
And he fucking got up there, because
up there.
Yep, he did a great drop kick.
The two people I think had the best drop kicks that I've ever seen was Hawk from the Road Warriors and Sting.
Sting. Well, I guess Sting in his prime.
Back in the day, Sting used to have a really good high drop kick.
I used to love the drop kick. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a better drop kick, in my opinion, than Hardcore Holly's.
Hardcore Holly's?
Yeah, you got to go back and see Hardcore Holly when he was younger. Drop kick, it was a fucking badass drop kick.
When he was Bodacious Bob? How far back are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about when he was Hardcore Holly, like when he was legit Hardcore Holly. He would hit those drop kicks just like picture perfect drop kicks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check that one out. I'm gonna have to start checking some of these old hardcore Holly.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should go back to let everybody know to check in our Cheech and Kern extra with Cutler versus Hardcore Holly. So everybody tune into that one, and you can see Hardcore Holly at his best in Valparaiso, Indiana.
That's right. That's right. Cheech and Kern extra available on YouTube. That's exclusively to our YouTube fans. You guys can go and check that out.
Back to the match. Earthquake trash talks a bit and tries a drop kick of his own, but it's nothing but air. He got up pretty damn high for a guy for his size. He was a big boy to be throwing these
yeah, and the thing is, he almost, I mean, if he would have nailed that drop kick, he would have fucking hit Hawk's head, because that's how high he got up.
It was out there for a big fat guy. Animal is then tagged in and goes for a body slam, but is unable to get him all the way up and is almost pinned by the Earthquake. The Natural Disasters get the upper hand as Typhoon gets into the ring. Animal then is able to tag in Hawk, but is also dominated quickly by Typhoon. Earthquake is then tagged in and performs a high elbow drop to squash Hawk. Quick in and out tags get Hawk in bad shape. The crowd starts to cheer on Hawk and gets the tag on Animal. Hawk is then able to counter and get the hot tag to Animal, and he is able to get both men down. Fight goes on outside as Typhoon is able to sneak back into the ring and get the ref count to 10. An awkward match, and awards the match to the Natural Disasters at 9 minutes and 24 seconds. What do you think about this match, Cheech?
Well, I mean, this was a good. Well, I don't want to say it was a good match. This was an interesting match because you got 4 fucking huge guys in the ring. And the Natural Disasters, one of my favorite tag teams, but they really can't do much in the ring besides be big. Bear hugs and fucking squash you,
rope squash, right.
Body slams and shit like that. Aside from the Earthquake drop kick, it was just a regular match. I mean, I think they gave him the right amount of time, 10 minutes. Don't overstay your welcome. But it was kind of weird because. I mean, not weird. You can tell this feud was going to continue because the chicken shit heels, they were fighting the outside, and then fucking Typhoon just kind of rolls into the ring just as the referee counts to 10, and they award the match. They're not the champions, but they award the match. So, I mean, it was an okay match.
That's how heels work. I mean, they don't care. They just want to win. But we go back to the ring. Hawk is able to bring in a chair and nail both guys on the back. Animal then grabs the chair and cracks Earthquake head with the chair. Still tag team champs, the Legion of Doom.
That's right. Yeah, and then after that match, I mean, it's interesting because they go directly to Todd Mooney, which he's in the background, right? He's in the back. The Natural Disasters, they come in with Jimmy Hart, and they're pissed off because they say they're the tag team champs. They want a rematch. We deserve to win the belts. We won the match fair and square. Somebody fucking forgot to tell Typhoon you don't win the tag team titles on a disqualification, or a count out or anything like that. And then as we go, as we go ahead here, we start going to a whole bunch of backstage interviews because we're getting ready for the main event, which is the Royal Rumble. And this Royal Rumble was special because it was the Royal Rumble. Whoever won the Royal Rumble was not going to go to Main Event WrestleMania to challenge for the title. Whoever won the Royal Rumble was going to become the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. So we start going to a whole bunch of backstage interviews. Mean Gene, he's with Roddy Piper, as he says he's excited to have the chance to be the only man to win the WWF World Heavyweight title and the Intercontinental title on the same night. Then we go backstage again. We go to Todd Mooney, who's interviewing the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, as he just turned heel on his longtime partner, Marty Jannetty. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks before he had just turned on Marty Jannetty on that famous barbershop segment.
Segment. That was a good segment. That was one of the best things because you didn't see it coming. Back then, wrestling will get you where you didn't see it coming, and then they hit you with it. That was one of those moments for me.
And one of the interesting parts, and one of my favorite commentators of all time, was of course Bobby Heenan. He's like, "Oh yes, the Rockers, they're back together. I love it. I knew they would get back together." And then Shawn Michaels fucking super kicks Marty Jannetty. He's like, "Oh, I knew he would do that."
That's Bobby Heenan at his best.
Yeah. So then we go to another backstage interview with Lord Alfred Hayes, where he interviews Ric Flair as he explains he drew number 3 and he's going to become the new WWF champion. Now these interviews were kind of like home video exclusives. So the live crowd wasn't seeing it. Not even Bobby Heenan or Gorilla Monsoon.
I was gonna say he knew about that. He was number three.
They at that point they didn't know. This was kind of like the video exclusives. This is the WWF Network has this. So then we get a bunch of solo promos of various wrestlers talking about winning the title tonight in the Rumble. You had Macho Man, you had Sid Justice, the Repo Man, the British Bulldog, Jake the Snake Roberts, Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair again, the Undertaker with Paul Bearer, and of course Hulk Hogan.
It cracks me up. The Repo Man. What world was he living in where he thought he even had an exclusive chance to win in the WWF?
I mean, look at the list. Let me go over this list again. Macho Man, Sid Justice, the British Bulldog, Jake the Snake Roberts, Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair, Undertaker, and the fucking Repo Man. Somebody there does not belong.
And it's the Repo Man.
And it's definitely the Repo Man. Oh, and of course, and the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, it's definitely the Repo Man. Does not belong. But now it's time, Kern, for the main event of the evening, the Royal Rumble match. Now we start off with Jack Tunney. He comes into the ring to present the belt, and the crowd boos him. Why the hell was the crowd booing Jack Tunney at this time? I don't ever remember Jack Tunney playing the heel president, because he was the president at this time. But I do know he was getting a little bit of heat because this was just coming off the controversy with Survivor Series, where Hogan lost the title to The Undertaker because of Ric Flair. And then they had this Tuesday in Texas where Hulk Hogan was able to win the match again. But then it was said it was due to controversy or some shit like that. And that's why Jack Tunney kind of like vacated the title and made the Rumble for the title.
Oh, yeah, well, I think that's why they were booing him, because of the controversy of it. Like, first of all, this is wrestling. This is controversy,
Yeah. But it was kind of weird. It kind of drew me off a little bit when I saw the people booing. I'm like, wow, why are they booing Jack Tunney?
And I wanted to say that it's another thing I want to talk about. Jack Tunney comes out and introduces this as the new WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Like a new belt just coming out, custom made, just built brand new. But if you look at it, that's the Gold Eagle belt.
The Winded Eagle, yeah.
Right. Before that match, I think it was Taboo and Tuesday when Hulk Hogan was doing his, not Taboo and Tuesday, Texas and Tuesday.
This Tuesday in Texas.
This Tuesday in Texas. When he was doing his interview in the back before the match.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, it was the Survivor Series. My bad, once again.
Yeah.
Survivor Series, when he was doing the interview for the match, he had that belt on already. Anybody that can go right now to the WWE Network will go look. But when he walked out to the ring, he had the old belt.
Huh.
But when the Macho Man ended up winning that title wasn't the brand new belt. It was already in existence. It just never came out to the ring. But Hogan would do promos with that belt on.
Not the Macho Man.
If you look at
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, right? Yeah. Ric Flair won the title.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but because I guess they were just transitioning the belt at that time for the new title. But yeah, he comes into the ring, he presents the belt, the crowd boos him, and then the match starts off with number 1, the British Bulldog, and number 2, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. They quickly take the action to each other. DiBiase at one point turns his back on the Bulldog, and the British Bulldog clothesline him to the outside for the first elimination. This was a quick elimination. Next in is number 3, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Bobby the Brain Heenan goes nuts, and Gorilla says nobody in the history of the Rumble has drawn 1 through 5 and been there at the end. This was a fight that they would continually have back and forth. They fight for a bit, and in comes number 4, Nasty Boy Sags. Sags and Flair then double team Davey Boy for a bit. Davey Boy is then able to eliminate Sags. Next in is number 5, Haku. Haku immediately attacks Bulldog. He and Flair then proceed to double team Bulldog for a bit, but then Haku attacks Flair also. This is when Heenan says his famous "This isn't fair to Flair" quote. All 3 men fight it off for a bit, but then Bulldog is able to eliminate Haku at the last second right before number 6, Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels comes out. Shawn and Flair go at it. From the get-go, Michael gets the upper hand and nails Sweet Chin Music to Flair. I guess this was when Sweet Chin Music still wasn't like Sweet Chin Music. It was just kind of like a setup move that he had at that time.
Right.
All 3 men continue to fight until number 7, the Matador Tito Santana comes in. The Matador goes immediately for Flair, but Flair is able to fight him off. Do you notice that everybody's coming in and beating the fuck out of Flair?
For some reason, it was Flair night that night. Everybody came in and got a first swing was going on Ric.
That's right. So the Matador goes immediately for Flair, but Flair is able to fight him off. Flair is then able to get the upper hand on Davey Boy by giving him a low blow. Gorilla is disgusted by Flair's action, and Heenan says to Gorilla, "You know what's on the line? I would do that to my grandmother if I had to." And Gorilla responds, "I know you would." Man, these two were just fucking awesome in this match. Next up is number 8, the Barbarian. He comes in and starts fighting with Davey Boy. Him and Flair double team Bulldog for a bit. There's a total of 5 guys in the ring at this point. Then comes in number 9, the Texas Tornado, former Intercontinental Champion, goes into the ring and goes after who? Flair. They just keep getting bigger, comes out of the mouth of Heenan, as Gorilla says, it's not looking good for Flair. All 6 guys fight all over the ring. And then number 10, the Repo Man. Oh, the who's who here. The Repo Man makes his way to the ring. The Repo Man takes his time to get into the ring as the Matador nails a flying crossbody on the Barbarian. Flair then chops the shit out of the Texas Tornado for a bit as number 11, Greg the Hammer Valentine, comes to the ring. Valentine goes immediately after who? Nobody else but Flair, and starts chopping Flair with the help of Davey Boy. 8 men are in the ring at this point. The ring's kind of getting full. Number 12, Nikolai Volkov, comes down to the ring and goes after the Repo Man. Now, before I continue here, Greg the Hammer Valentine, who was number 11, but he actually held the record for the I'm mistaken. He did not hold the record, but he was in there the year before, like really for a long time. The record at this point was held by Rick the Martel. But Greg the Hammer Valentine had the second best time at this point in history. Number 12, Nikolai Volkov comes down to the ring and goes after the Repo Man. Flair and Valentine are chopping the shit out of each other at this point. Volkov is then eliminated by the Repo Man. The number 13, the Big Boss Man, comes down sprinting to the ring. The crowd goes nuts as he starts fighting all of the heels. Valentine is then eliminated by Flair. The Repo Man is then eliminated by Bossman. Flair then eliminates Davey Boy, much to the crowd's despair. Tornado then goes after Flair, and Flair is able to sidestep him and eliminate Tornado also. Flair's on a fucking roll here.
Oh, shit.
Then number 14, Hercules, comes to the ring. At this point, Flair is the one that has been in there for the longest. Of course, it was Davey Boy, but he eliminated Davey Boy, so now he becomes the one that's been in there for the longest. The Matador is eliminated, then Hercules is eliminated by the Barbarian, and the Big Bossman eliminates the Barbarian. It's down to Flair and Bossman. Bossman is then sidestepped by Flair and is eliminated. What a fucking dumbass. I mean, the Big Bossman had the big advantage to kick Flair's ass. He runs at Flair. Flair just fucking sidesteps and he falls to the outside.
That's the Big Bossman for you.
It was just hilarious. Flair is then the only one left in the ring, and he seems exhausted at this point. Just as Heenan is saying, "Just relax, Flair. Take your time. You got 7 seconds to rest." The crowd starts going nuts in anticipation of who's coming out next. Then number 15, fucking Roddy Piper, comes sprinting to the ring. Heenan yells from the top of their lung, "Of all the people, not Roddy Piper. That's not fair to Flair." Piper then starts beating the shit out of Flair. They go under the ring, under the ropes, and fight onto the outside for a bit. Back in the ring, Piper is then able to take advantage and takes Flair for a spin on his shoulders and places Flair in the sleeper hold as number 16, Jake the Snake Robert, makes his way to the ring. Now this was awesome. Jake the Snake comes in and sits in the corner as Piper puts Flair to sleep. He just sits down and watches. He's like, no, go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to chill here, don't worry about it. Snake then blindsides Piper for the advantage. All 3 men then fight for a bit, and out comes number 17, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho! The first ever winner of the Royal Rumble. Of course, Royal Rumble 1988. I suggest you guys go check that out. The second episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast, we talk about Royal Rumble 1988. Cheap plug there. Hacksaw then beats on Flair, of course, of all people, and all 4 are beating each other up until number 18, IRS, Irvin R. Shyster, comes down to the ring, and everybody in the crowd starts booing. Of course, everybody hated this guy. He had like X-Pac heat back in 1992.
He's the IRS. He wants to steal your money.
Yep, he wants everybody to pay taxes. And Piper and Flair are still going at it at this point, but neither man is able to get the advantage. Flair and IRS then double team Piper, but Piper still fights back. Number 19, Superfly Jimmy Snuka comes to the ring, and the people are booing him very loudly. Why were the people booing Jimmy Snuka at this time? I have no idea, because I don't remember Jimmy Snuka ever being a heel. Was he a heel at this point?
No, man, this is going to go way back. I think this is like when Jimmy Snuka's girlfriend died in the hotel and he was wanted asking questions. Remember that scandal?
Yeah, I remember there was some issue there with Jimmy Snuka, but I know this was coming out of WrestleMania 7. Yeah, we're building to WrestleMania 8, and WrestleMania 7 is where he fought Undertaker, right? And he was a face at that time, I think.
Yeah, but that's when that scandal came out that he had murdered his wife or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, so it must have had to been that then. Snuka is wearing boots and long wrestling trunks. Very different look for him. Piper and Flair are still going at it. I mean, Piper and Flair are fucking beating each other up. We have entrants coming in and out of the match, right? And Piper and Flair are the constant people beating the fuck out of each other.
Beating the shit out of each other.
Yep. Piper is now taking it to Flair. Flair has taken a lot of damage, but everybody in the match, has to say. Now number 20, The Undertaker comes to the ring. The Undertaker quickly eliminates Jimmy Snuka and then proceeds to choke Flair in the corner. Hacksaw then attacks The Undertaker. This allows Flair to lay in the corner for a bit. Next up is number 21, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah! Savage comes sprinting down to the ring after Jake Roberts. Of course, you know Macho Man and Jake Roberts had an intense feud at this time. That was just coming off when Jake Roberts put Damien to bite. Was it Damien? What was the name of the Cobra? I don't think it was Damien. It had another name.
Damien was the python, that long snake he carried. I think it was a python.
Well, he had that.
It was the cobra with the fangs. That was venomous fangs or something.
Yeah, he had just bitten Macho Man, and I remember one of those segments. I think I talked about this before, but one of the segments where Macho Man got bitten by that cobra. At one point, they're taking out Macho Man. Everybody's a big commotion and everything, and Jake the Snake is just kind of like laying there. And you see that fucking cobra just like sitting up straight. You know how the cobras kind of sit up straight, looking directly into Jake the Snake Roberts' eyes. And I was like, oh, that looks so fucking badass, because it looked like he was controlling him. So it looked badass.
Yeah, it did.
So anyway, Savage comes down sprinting to the ring after Jake Roberts, but Undertaker cuts him off. Savage is able to fight off the Undertaker and eliminates Jake the Snake Roberts. He then proceeds to jump over the top rope onto Roberts. At this point, Gorilla and Heenan believe Macho Man has eliminated himself, but I guess the rules either they weren't clear at that time, because apparently if you're not thrown out of the ring by another competitor, you're still in the match. In 1992, of course, now if you fucking throw yourself over the ring, you're eliminated. But at that point, it wasn't very clear.
Once both of your feet hit the floor, now you're considered eliminated. You've got both feet.
Yeah, but I think that rule was in place at that time, but Macho Man just fucked up. He let his emotions get to him, and he fucking jumped over the top rope, and the refs kind of like left him to be. Because I mean, the Macho Man would be a key player in this match at some points here. So I think he just fucked up. I don't know, but anyways, he was it was kind of very confusing. But then number 22 comes in, the Berserker. You remember the Berserker?
Yes.
It's
guy.
Yeah, so Flair and Savage are going at it for a bit. Piper is still in it and starts hitting Flair again, along with Undertaker. At this point, Flair is over 45 minutes in the ring. Number 23 is Virgil, and he comes in and starts fighting IRS, but he quickly double teamed. He's quickly double teamed. Undertaker starts fighting Flair again and tries to eliminate him, but Flair is able to survive. I mean, everybody is fucking going after Flair, and Flair is able to survive everything here.
I think that was the point of the match, was for everybody like to beat up Flair.
Kind of like put him over, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Flair was what, 41, 42?
Yeah.
And not too many people at that age are winning,
And you constantly had Bobby Heenan going like, how long has Flair been in there now? And, Gorilla would be like, he's been in there for 42 minutes. Oh, he's been in there in excess for 43, 45. And I'm like, well, what's the big deal of how long he's been there? He's fucking fought 60-minute matches like for 3 years straight, Well,
I think that was the point, because I remember he did come out saying, no, I'm the 60-minute man, and I proved it. And
Yeah. So then number 24, Colonel Mustafa, better known to as Iron Sheik, comes to the ring. Wait, was Colonel Mustafa? He wasn't Colonel Mustafa. What was his name?
It wasn't the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, because I mean, Colonel Mustafa was the manager of Sergeant Slaughter.
Right.
Yeah, but it was the Iron Sheik, but it wasn't Colonel Mustafa. I put Colonel Mustafa on my notes, but it's not Colonel Mustafa. What was his name? General Abnad or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember right
No,
now. But
wait. Yeah, he is Colonel Mustafa. Isn't General Abnab the guy, the manager of Sergeant Slaughter? Oh fuck, I can't remember now.
man, I wouldn't put Colonel Mustafa. I don't know if it was Colonel Mustafa, Kern.
All right, all right. Anyways, okay. Anyways, Iron
Yeah,
Sheik comes
yeah,
out. Whatever the fuck his name was at that point, he comes to the ring. Flair is still in it as he fights Macho Man. See, they keep fighting with Macho Man. Next up is number 25, the model Rick Martel. This is the guy that currently held the record. The model immediately goes after who else? Flair. Flair is close to breaking the model's record from the previous year. Next up is number 26, Hulk Hogan, and the crowd goes fucking crazy at this point. But I guess it was kind of like an early pop. But you're gonna see. Hogan comes in and immediately goes after Flair, but Undertaker attacks Hogan. Hogan then eliminates Undertaker and the Berserker quickly. Virgil and Hacksaw eliminate each other. Next up is number 27, Skinner. By this time, Hogan is trying to eliminate Flair as Heenan is praying to God to let him win, and I'll never be bad again.
You gotta love Bobby Heenan.
Yep.
I mean, he was going through like the most stressful time in his life going through this match.
Yep. Skinner then goes after Hogan, and Flair is still in it. He breaks the record of longest time in Rumble history. Next up is number 28, Sergeant Slaughter. Skinner is eliminated by by Iron Sheik, and they're both gone at this time. Right now is down to IRS, Macho Man, Flair, Slaughter, Piper, Hogan, and the model. Next up is number 29, Sid Justice, and he immediately goes after IRS. Flair and Hogan then square off for a bit, but it's immediately broken up by Sid Justice. Next up is number 30 and the final entrant, the Warlord. Before I continue, when Flair and Hogan they kind of squared off. You remember that famous spot in Royal Rumble? I think it was 1990 when Hogan and Warrior kind of like stood toe to toe, face to face, and the people started fucking going nuts. And that's eventually the main event that's going to happen at WrestleMania 6. They kind of did like this similar spot here with Hogan and Flair. And I mean, the people were into it. I was wondering, I'm like, why did they not go with Hogan and Flair for WrestleMania 8?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they had that stupid Sid Justice versus Ric Flair and the Macho Man versus Sid Justice versus Hogan and Macho Man versus Flair. I don't know. I mean, that would have like been like the biggest WrestleMania ever.
You had the biggest star of the 80s, Hulk Hogan, and you had the biggest, the greatest champion, I should say, of the 80s, in Ric Flair. So you had the mainstream star and the guy who was considered to be the real champion, Ric Flair. Why not put those two together in fucking WrestleMania? You know?
I agree. Then WCW ended up doing it and they fucked it up. I mean,
but I mean, the first match Hogan and Flair had was in Bash at the Beach '94, and I think that broke all fucking records WCW had in pay-per-view at that time.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't live up to the hype, I think.
Of course, I mean after in '94, both men were after they had passed their prime. I mean, Hogan had better years still to come as the NWO leader, but he was way past his prime in wrestling ability and in the ring, I should say.
I agree.
Okay, anyway, so yeah, we're down to number 30, the final entrant, the Warlord. Down to the last 8 man, Hogan and Flair are still fighting on the outside, and Hogan suplexes Flair on the blue mat. Slaughter is then eliminated by Sid Justice. Flair and Hogan come back in the ring and fight for a bit, but it's quickly broken up once again. Piper then eliminates IRS. Hogan and Sid Justice eliminate the Warlord. Sid Justice then eliminates Piper, which people, got fucking nuts when they eliminated Piper. And the model Rick Martel, he did kind of like a double elimination. Piper was trying to eliminate the model, and then he just kind of went behind Piper and grabbed his legs, and he eliminated both of them at the same time. We're down to the final 4: Hogan, Savage, Flair, and Justice.
That's a good final 4.
Hell yeah, that's a great final 4. Any one of those 4 guys could have won that Royal Rumble match.
I agree.
Sid Justice has Macho Man over the top rope, and Flair is able to land a running knee to the back of Justice, and out goes Savage. This was kind of weird. I had never seen Ric Flair run and do a high running knee, but he did that.
I have. He does it a lot.
Okay, well that's kind of like the first time I ever saw him do it. He just kind of did a little running knee. He nailed Sid Justice, and Sid Justice was kind of holding on to Macho Man, so out goes Macho Man. Flair then goes to chop Hogan as they're still going at it. Hogan then has Flair almost out, and Sid Justice then proceeds to grab Hogan and dump him over the top rope. Surprisingly, the crowd fucking cheers for this. The crowd
Everybody wanted Flair to win. Everybody in that arena wanted Flair to win. Because when Flair won the title, the place went nuts.
Yeah, but then Hogan is pissed as Justice yells at him, it's every man for himself, big boy." I used to love the way fucking Sid Justice would speak.
Sid Justice.
Yep. As Sid then goes to turn around and take care of Flair, which is, they're down to the final two, Sid Justice and Flair. He turns around, tries to take care of Flair. Hogan grabs Sid's right arm and starts to pull him over the top rope. They struggle with each other for a bit, and Flair then comes from behind and eliminates Sid Justice, your winner and new World Wrestling Federation champion, Ric Flair, 1 hour, 2 minutes, 2 seconds. What you think about this, Kern?
I think this match was great. First of all, I think it was awesome to see Ric Flair win the WWF title. To him, I think that gave him validation as being the man, the champion at the stage, at the biggest arena, at the biggest ballpark, at the biggest, whatever you can do. It gave validation to his career, in my opinion, winning that title. Even though, to me, the NWA title was more prestigious at that time than the WWF title. But I think it gave validation that he can win the title no matter where the hell he goes. He was the man. I thought it was a great match. What do you think, Cheech?
I thought it was an awesome match. I mean, this match was 1 hour and 2 minutes, as I mentioned. It flew by watching it because of all the drama, all the commotion, everything that was going on, the great commentary between Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. I mean, if you look at the roster in this match, it's a who's who of wrestling. You got Shawn Michaels, Jake the Snake Roberts, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Undertaker, Sid Justice. I mean, everybody who's anybody in wrestling was in this match. And
not Sting Electric.
But I mean, it was a great match. I love the match. But now this was kind of weird because after the match, Justice and Hogan stand off in the ring as WWF officials try to separate the two. The crowd is amazingly cheering for Sid Justice. Hulkamania is starting to wind down at this point. Now, this was weird. If you just have a new WWF champion, World Heavyweight champion that was crowned, why did they not give that celebration to Ric Flair? Ric Flair just kind of grabbed the belt and left. And they fucking brought the attention back to Hogan and Justice. Because, I mean, they were on the outside and they ended up back inside the ring. And they started kind of fighting each other off. And then you had all the referees coming down and kind of separating.
Trying to sell WrestleMania, I guess. They knew where they were headed.
But I think, now of course, this is all, up to speculation. But I mean, I think even in documentaries there's a documentary called The History of WrestleMania that the WWF put out a couple years ago. I think it might be in the network right now. And I think they talked about this. The marquee was always going to be Hogan Flair for WrestleMania 8. And supposedly what happened was Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan did not draw in house, they did like live events and people weren't like going to the live events when these two were fighting each other. So that's kind of like why Vince McMahon decided not to do that main event. Of course, that's what that documentary says. So, but at this point at the Royal Rumble, I think they still had Hogan Flair in mind. So why were they doing this Sid Justice Hogan thing? I don't know. Now this is of course speculation. I mean, they probably already, McMahon probably already had in his mind that I'm going with Hogan and Sid, or maybe he had that as a backup plan or something. But it was just weird the way that I saw they brought the attention to Hogan and Sid instead of the new World Wrestling Federation champion Ric Flair at that time. Anyway,
but Flair had one of like the greatest backstage interviews after that.
Yeah, that's right. The next part is the backstage interview where Mean Gene Okerlund, he's in with Jack Tunney to present the title to Flair. Flair says that with a tear in his eye, this is the greatest moment in his life. He says that to be number one, you have to beat the number one, and that this belt is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. Taking a quick stab at WCW for fucking him over.
Shit. Oh shit.
So he's like, when you're the king of the WWF, you rule the world. Heenan and Perfect celebrate with Flair. We then get a quick video recap of the event at the show as the show goes off the air. What do you give this event, Kern, out of a 10?
I think this was a great show. I mean, it started off good. I mean, they had the little clunker in there with the Mountie, but Piper won the title. I think the Royal Rumble was the main event, was one of the best Royal Rumbles you're ever going to see and hear.
I think this is the best Royal Rumble match ever.
Ever. I agree. I'm going to go as far as saying I'm going to give it a good 9. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. That sounds good. I was, when I was contemplating, after I watched the event, went back, watched it and everything, I was like, where should I go with this rating? And I was going to go as high as a 9. But that fucking Bushwhackers match brought it down for me because I just thought it was horrible. So I brought it down to 8. 8 out of 10.
Well, that's still one of the top ratings we've given our show so far.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. But in my opinion, the best Royal Rumble match in history has to be the 1990 Royal Rumble because of the great consistent storytelling they were saying there, the great commentary, the way they put over Ric Flair, and I mean it's all the little stories that they had in between.
I agree. It was one of the greatest matches you're gonna watch, and the storytelling was perfect.
Yeah.
And Bobby and Gorilla Monsoon just put it over the top.
That's right. You had Macho Man, Jake the Snake. You had Piper Flair. You had fucking Undertaker and Hogan. Sid Justice Hogan. You think about it. Everybody was there. It was a great match in my opinion. So, yep, 8 out of 10, Kern.
I agree. It was a great Royal Rumble match.
All right, Kern. So what time is it right now?
It's time for the mailbag section.
That's right.
And who is the mailbag section brought to you by?
The mailbag section is brought to you by Audible.com. That's right. For you, the listeners of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You guys can download this week's choice, yes, My Improbable Journey to the Main Event of Wrestlemania by Daniel Bryan for free, or you can download your choice of audiobook free by trying Audible.com. Just go to www.audibletrial.com/Cheech and Kern and complete the sign-up process for the 30-day trial. Choose your audiobook and give their service a try. If you're not satisfied, you can cancel it anytime during the trial. But guess what? You can keep your free audiobook as our gift to you for being a loyal listener to the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. You will not be billed. Remember to download your free audiobook today. Go to audibletrial.com/Cheech and Kern. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Cheech and Kern for your free audiobook. I've been getting a lot of feedback lately for this Daniel Bryan book. And I must say, you guys, this is your opportunity to go get that book for free on us, on the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. It has narration by Daniel Bryan himself. There's nothing but great reviews for this book. It's already on the New York Times bestselling list. So go out there, get it for free. You have nothing to lose. Just sign up for the process. You got to go through the whole sign-up process for them to give you that book. Then you can cash in your free book. You will not get billed. You guys are not going to regret it. You're going to love it. You're going to love this Daniel Bryan book. I've checked it out, and it's a great book, so you guys have a great opportunity. And pick it up for free. Hey, why would you pay $26.95 for it when you get it for free on us, on the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast?
That's right. And who do we got in the mailbag section this week, Cheech?
Today, we got a couple of emails on the mailbag section, and our first email comes from our main man in the UK. Man, it's been a while since we heard from Oliver James over there in the UK.
Oliver, hanging tight over there thinking about Wade Barrett as usual.
Shout out to my main man, Oliver James, over there. And Oliver James actually has a 3-part question this week. And of course, we're in SummerSlam weekend. We got NXT TakeOver, we got SummerSlam, and we got Monday Night Raw, all taking place in Brooklyn, New York this weekend. So I hope you guys enjoy that, watching that. But of course, our main man over there, Oliver James, he sends a question, and he says, would Wade Barrett take the winning fall at SummerSlam? And of course, as he's talking about, Wade Barrett is going to be tag teaming with Stardust, and they're going to be taking on Neville and what the hell is this guy's name? Stephen Amell, I want to say he was the Green Arrow from the show Arrow. So you got the Green Arrow there and the Red Arrow against Stardust and Wade Barrett. Now, Cosmic Barrett, I think is what they're calling him now.
We should call him retarded.
Yeah. But so he wants to know what would you think? Do you think Wade Barrett will take the winning pinfall at SummerSlam? And who do you think he will pin? And will this help him main event WrestleMania? I'm gonna get that. That's all you, Kern. That's all you.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna go with Oliver James here. Oliver, yes, I do agree. I think Wade Barrett's gonna get the winning pin in SummerSlam. I think he's gonna get the pin against one of the Arrows, and I think he's gonna main event with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Everything you say, I agree. And I bet you, even though I haven't heard from him, I bet you my boy Tony Colapeta out in Spanish Harlem agrees with me. What about you, Cheech?
Okay, I I said this was all about you, Kern, but you know what? No. You know what, Oliver?
Shout out to Tony Colapeta, by the way.
Yeah. You know what, Oliver? No, I do not think Wade Barrett's gonna take. You know what? I think Wade Barrett's actually gonna take the losing fall in this match, if anything. And yeah, I think he's gonna get pinned, and I think he's gonna get pinned by the celebrity, by Stephen Amell, and he will not be in the main event of WrestleMania. He'll probably be in the kickoff match. And I'm sorry to say it, but somebody has to say it because I think you're living in the moon, thinking about Wade Barrett too much. So, somebody got to say it. So, I'm sorry about this, Oliver James. But please keep sending your feedback because we love your feedback. We enjoy each and every week you send us your feedback. But, yeah, those are my feelings on Wade Barrett there. All right, so next up, Kern, we actually got a new email from a new listener here. His name is Tyrone Richardson, and he's giving us a shout out from Atlanta, Georgia. So a shout out to my man Tyrone over there in Atlanta. And he wants
Tyrone, what's up, Tyrone?
And he wants to know, what do we think about the new WWE Network show Swerved? What do you think about Swerved, Kern?
I got a couple of things about Swerve. The first show that I watched about Swerve, I thought was okay. Kind of funny. They had some good, practical jokes. My favorite one was when Seth Rollins was locked out of the arena. That was my favorite, episode or favorite joke of the show. But as of lately, the show's starting to look a little too phony for me. Like they know something's coming around the corner. I like the show, but I would like it to keep it more fresh, more interesting, a little bit more exciting with these gags. Some of the gags don't even make sense.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think about the show?
Well, I mean, I'm totally with you. I enjoyed watching, the first couple of episodes. I watched them and I liked it because they seemed like jokes that, like pranks, I should say. They were legit, First of all, you had here. I mean, I remember one of them. This guy from the New Day. He shot Kofi Kingston with a big, I think it was baby powder or whatever the fuck he put on it. And,
what the hell was that?
And Kofi Kingston's eyes were all red and fucked up. I'm like, damn, he could have fucking injured him for real there, And
yeah, that's kind of hardcore there.
Yeah, and the whole electrocuting shock shit in the chair. Everybody was like, oh, well, what the fuck? So it was an interesting show. But then this last show I watched, where they had like eating the baby shit from the diaper.
The baby poo.
That seemed too damn. It just seemed too damn. How the fuck are you gonna be sitting next to somebody in a table and watching them taste shit from a diaper and just fucking look at it? And Kofi Kingston's like looking all normal. No, it just seemed too damn phony, and it kind of took it took away the excitement level for me. So I don't know if I'm gonna keep watching Swerve after this.
Well, I'm going to keep watching it. I like watching the show, but I wish they would do something a little bit more, less predictable.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, maybe I'll, maybe they'll win me back. But at least I didn't see the last show completely because it just kind of fucking turned me off when I seen that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on.
What else we got going on in the mailbag section this week?
All right, and our next question here is actually from another new listener, and he's actually from my part of the world here. He's from Carolina, Puerto Rico, and my main man, his name Jesus Encarnacion. So yeah, shout out to Jesus over there in Carolina, Puerto Rico. And
Jesus, How long did it take you to spell that last name?
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while. Now,
Like Schwarzenegger. Could you imagine Schwarzenegger as a 5-year-old trying to learn how to write fucking Schwarzenegger?
try to learn
Jesus
that shit in
Christ.
kindergarten. Yeah, that would be kind of fucking.
Yeah.
But shout out to Jesus. He was watching an old episode of Monday Night Raw, and he wants to know, what do we think of the faction Los Boricuas? Of course, Los Boricuas was Savio Vega, Huracan Castillo, Miguelito Perez, and his name was Enrico Suave. His name is Rico Suave here, a local wrestler here in Puerto Rico, but he wasn't Rico Suave as part of the Boricuas, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. Wow, the Boricuas. The Boricuas was, for me being Puerto Rican, when the Boricuas came out, I was kind of excited to see like a faction for like the Puerto Ricans.
Mm-hmm.
And got their little Puerto Rican flags, and they're talking about that the Boricuas are coming, and I'm getting all excited.
Yeah.
I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I've seen the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico. It's one of the top promotions in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And when I seen these guys come down the ramp in the WWF, I almost threw up. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you picked like the worst people. Why wasn't Carlos Colon coming out, I would love to see Carlito Colon coming out there attacking with his flying headbutts and shit that he used to give. I don't know. I think it was a good group just because you needed like the groups back then. It was a thing in wrestling. But man, they picked the bottom of the litter when it came to picking for the Puerto Rican team. I mean, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for the Puerto Ricans that this was the best that we had to bring to the table. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I was, as I say, this was back in the Attitude Era. This is like 97, 98, I want to say. And, I was excited when those Boricuas were going to come down because I was like, oh, man, we got, finally we got our boys here coming in. Because, you had the Nation of Domination. Now, anybody could say what they wanted to say, but that was a black group. Whatever say what you say, but that was a racially charged black group. You had the Hart Foundation, which was a Canadian group, basically. You had I think
the Undertaker's
Ministry of Darkness, was it? I think it was, or something like that. So you had DX, exactly. You had DX. So you had all these, these little factions. You even had the motorcycle gang guys.
Apocalypse, Disciple of Apocalypse.
Yeah, there you go. So you had kind of like a faction for every type of culture, right? So then you have here Los Boricuas, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. So we're gonna have this little representation here, and that's gonna be awesome. And you got Savio Vega. Now Savio Vega, I kind of like Savio Vega. Because, even before he was part of Los Boricuas, he would come on.
He brought nothing but short, fat, hairy, bald guys to the table.
Yeah.
That explains the whole faction right there.
Yeah, well, Miguelito Perez, why the fuck would he shave? That just made him look ridiculous. I don't know if it was him or it was, probably Vince McMahon just fucking with him like, no, leave your hair like that. You're going to be the next George the Animal Steel or whatever.
I don't know what he was thinking, but he should have shaved it off.
Yeah. But, I guess they were kind of like a jobber faction, because I don't remember ever them having anything spectacular, or, where they
had a couple matches where they probably beat up on somebody, but yeah, I don't remember them ever being like.
They never became champs of anything or none of that. So, but I'm kind of indifferent for those Boricuas, to be kind of honest with you,
Yeah, wasn't Savio Vega part of the Nation of Domination at one point?
Yeah, I think he was part of the Nation of Domination, yeah. Actually, I think, didn't he come in I think that was his debut as part of the Nation of Domination.
Yeah, I think so too, but he wasn't black and he wasn't dark enough.
Well,
right?
he kind of looked the part, when you think about it. He came in there, because he actually, I'm trying to remember, I seen the event where he actually made his debut, and it was an In Your House pay-per-view, and I think he came in to help Ron Simmons. And he was like, oh yeah, no, I'm here to help Ron Simmons. I've been my best friend. Like, if they knew each other for years, and they probably did know each other for years, legitimately. But you think, I'm like, well, who the fuck is this guy? Somebody who's never seen him before. You're like, who the hell is this guy? And because all I remember from Savio was when he was TNT over here, the Ninja Warrior or whatever the hell, he would pin his face, and he was, yeah, so he was badass. But yeah, kind of indifferent to Los Boricuas. Anything else on Los Boricuas, Kern?
No, I think I'm all Boricua out right now.
All right, well that's about all the time we got for this week's mailbag section. We want to let you guys know you can send your questions, comments, and feedback at cheechandkern@gmail.com. You guys could send your question, comments there. If you want them answered on the show, make sure you send them to cheechandkern@gmail.com. I do get a lot of feedback on Twitter, which you can follow me at WrestlingCheech. You guys can send me your feedback there. But if you want to answer it on the show as these questions here, send them to cheechandkern@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to answer them on the show for you guys. And so, Kern, we got an assignment here. We got to make sure what's going to be our next episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. What should we talk about?
It's a good thing you were talking about that, because we got a couple of backscene things that's going on where we're going to have a couple of wrestlers on our show and just do a podcast on their careers and where they've gone. We're going to let you know a little bit later during the next shows of who we're going to have and when we're going to have them, just like our little Cheech and Kern extra with Nick Cutler. And so we got that coming up. But I was thinking, as we were talking about this show, as we were doing our show today, what about WrestleMania 4?
WrestleMania 4.
Macho Man won the WWF title.
That's the tournament. Yeah, that sounds good. WrestleMania 4.
I mean, they had everybody that was available. I mean, they had great people, and the tournament was great. Everybody was there. You had Hogan, you had the Giant, you had the Big Boss Man, you had the Bam Bam Bigelow, the One Man Gang, Randy Savage, you had
Ricky
Ted
Steamboat.
DiBiase. Right. I mean, Dino Bravo was there. I mean, it was a great match. The whole great attitude, the whole, atmosphere was great. So I think we should try to do WrestleMania 4. What do you think?
All right. Yeah, sounds good. WrestleMania 4 it is. Our next episode of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast going to be at WrestleMania 4. You guys can send your feedback, cheechandkern@gmail.com. We'll read it on show. You can also send your feedback. We have a Pro Boards page where you guys can check out all of our archives are up there. WCW Flashback City, which of course comes at you each and every Monday night. We got a Monday Nitro coming up next Monday night. But yeah, you guys can check out there, proboards.com, Cheech and Kern. You guys can check out there and give us your feedback also on WrestleMania 4. We usually have a poll to make sure which one was your favorite match. You could do that also for Royal Rumble 1992. Poll on your favorite match. And yeah, so WrestleMania 4 it is, Kern. Sounds good.
Sweet. Well, we're out for next week.
That's right. You guys can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere podcasts are available. You guys can follow us there. So you just go there and hit the subscribe button. Each time the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast pops up, it'll automatically download to your device. Or you could just put it on your playlist, and you could stream us on your device and just have us there. So yeah, just get there. Please, you guys could also do a review on iTunes. It helps us show out every time you do a review on iTunes. And yeah, that's about it, Kern. Anything else?
All right, that's it. It's closing time.
All right, guys, take care.
Peace. I got nothing else. It's closing time.